This time, Islamic Secrets will tell the story of the conversion of NATO's Director of Information, Dr. Murad Wilfried Hoffmann. Islam is a rational and universal religion. It is acceptable, and in accordance with common sense. Islam is a blessing for all nature, because even though it was revealed on the Arabian Peninsula, Islam is not only for Arabs, but can also be accepted by non-Arabs. In fact, the sciences and teachings contained in the Quran are in accordance with humanity's outlook on life. Therefore, it is not surprising that the religion brought by Muhammad is easily accepted by people who always use their minds. That is what happened to Dr. Murad Wilfried Hoffmann, a former German diplomat. He accepted Islam when his career was at its peak. Dr. Hoffmann accepted Islam and said the Shahada at the Colonia Islamic Center, led by Imam Muhammad Ahmad Rasul. He was born into a German Catholic family on July 3, 1931. He graduated from Union College in New York and then completed his name with a doctorate degree in law and jurisprudence from the University of Munich, Germany in 1957. Additionally, Hoffmann was a research assistant on the reform of federal civil procedure, and in 1960 he received an LLM degree from Harvard Law School. Then, in 1983 to 1987, he was appointed Director of Information for NATO in Brussels. Next, he was assigned as a diplomat to the German ambassador to Algeria. However, before arriving in Algeria, Hoffmann had embraced Islam, and he only made his Islam public after he wrote a book entitled Der Islam als Alternative. After this book was published, Germany was shocked by its Islamic news. In the book, he not only explains that Islam is the best alternative for Western civilization, which has collapsed and lost its justification, but Hoffmann explicitly says that Islam is an alternative religion for Western society. Islam does not offer itself as an alternative to post-industrial Western society, because Islam is the only alternative, he wrote. Therefore, it is not surprising that when the book was not yet published, it shocked German society. At first it was a Channel I television interview with Murad Hoffmann. And in the interview, Hoffmann talked about his book which was about to be published. Murad Wilfried Hoffmann conveyed his personal experience which he called the road to Mecca. He admitted that he was fascinated by Surah Al-An'am verse 164. This personal experience is contained in his book. He made a note 2 years and 5 months after he embraced Islam. He said, "When I read the Quran for the first time, I was immediately fascinated. In fact, I took a lesson from verse 164 of Surah Al-An'am. In that verse it is written that, 'And a sinner will not bear the sins of others.' And I understand an error in the Christian teaching about hereditary sin. The correct concept is that men and women stand before the Creator directly without intermediaries. After I understand this, I now believe that Islam is not a step backwards, but a step that leads humans forward and towards a more advanced level than what was achieved after the Messiah," he said. This is not an attitude that requires intelligence, but rather a reason or justification, and is characterized by partiality. Perhaps it is closer to honesty based on the human ability to investigate, a recognition that we are not even capable of providing the possibility of something supernatural. When I hold this opinion for some time, I can suppose that one day the limits of what we can know will not be the limits of nature. This was my decision accompanied by faith, and realizing our limitations in knowing everything with certainty, I therefore choose a humble soul attitude rather than the arrogant and stupid attitude adopted by agnosticists, who prioritize courage and self-satisfaction, and people who usually live in self-alienation, stiff and petty. With full awareness, I surrender myself and my thoughts to a greater reality, of which I feel that I am nothing but a small part. I submit myself to a being who is greater than the rulers of the world. Allah is greater than anything we can possibly imagine. When I say this, I really don't want to lead anyone onto a slippery slope by trying to introduce God to human characteristics. The number of Al-Asmaul Husna's numbers, namely 99, is one problem. Meanwhile, being mired in the delusion, assumption, that metaphorical names, majas, formed in human language can describe or summarize his character and substance is another problem. To the extent that we are prisoners of the dictionary that we have created ourselves, to the extent that we are clear of our abilities, even with the help of revelation, these names cannot be known except for a few fragments of the comprehensive nature of God. Whatever I say, it is really only a little of the many.